All right. Welcome back everyone dito sa latest episode ng Deep Dive. Kasama natin isa pang Quadcom. Merong kabilang channel na Quadcom with a certain people. Ito naman yung kabila naman ng Quadcom natin. Kanina naman this morning, we had also have a Quadcom with sila two deans and one professor. So fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, Carlo Flores, Cleve, and Dino. Let's start with you, Dino, para medyo bardaguls na tayo kaagad. Dino,
Para tagols ba pag ako?
kasi yung isang
Synonymous na pala yon. Yes.
Birahan agad, birahan.
actually although a certain attorney said sana ayusin mo yung audio mo kasi kailangan medyo maganda yung videos mo yung audio mo yata ang kailangan mo ayusin. Oh,
Kailangan ayusin yung
oh,
video.
yung
Sige.
explainers mo is very
Okay.
nice. So,
Okay, okay.
baka naman pwede tayo mag-fundraising sa DJI para meron kang part.
Noted, noted.
So,
Well,
Dino,
point well taken.
before we go to who's at the bottom, who's at the top sa Senate when it comes to approval, favorability, Cliff, bakit ka nagre-react? So I'm talking about Riza, Jingo, etc. Let's talk about the ombudsman muna. So Dino, obviously no one is surprised, shocked, Remulla as the ombudsman, but how important is the appointment of Remulla? And also Remulla immediately saying na papatulan niya or actually i-revive niya, hindi naman priorities, but i-revive niya yung Sara cases because I think there's some idea na baka off the hook na yung mga Dutertes, etc. But it looks like now things are back into motion, and as we speak, people are openly talking about Luistro, Castro, and a couple of other people as potential DOJ, although my sense is the acting secretary or one of the undersecretaries will ultimately take over the DOJ. But I want to take first of all your point of view on this,
Sabi mo hindi ka shock na si Boying Remulla? Ako shock na shock ako. Sobrang shock ako na si Boying Remulla ang na-appoint, di ba? Kasi ayaw na ayaw siya ng mga DDS. Nagtataka nga ako kung bakit ayaw na ayaw siya ng DDS. Eh hindi ako sanay na hindi nasusunod yung mga DDS. Kasi lagi silang sanay na naghahari-harihan at sila ang nasusunod. So for once, siguro ngayon hindi sila nasunod. Kaya ako na-shock, no? Doon ako na-shock kasi nagtataka ako kung bakit ayaw nila si Boying Remulla. Eh mix naman para sa akin ha, mix naman ang track record ni Boying Remulla ever since he came in public service. There was even a time that he's very supportive of the Duterte. So I don't know where the scrap started. Maybe it's when Digong was sent to The Hague, no? At tingin nila, kinasuhan nila ng hustong si Boying, sinubukan nila na pigilan yung appointment ni Boying Remulla, eh lalong napipikon tuloy yung tao. Di ba? Lalo na tuloy nila pinapailit yung issue, no? But bottom line is, of course, as I always say, itong success kasi ni Boying Remulla is our collective success, no? Kaya I wish him all the best. Hopefully, he will be successful. Pero hindi naman mahirap yung trabaho niya na i-improve yung ombudsman kasi
the bar
nanggaling
is
sa
low.
gutter eh. Oo, nanggaling sa gutter yung ombudsman, no? Napakasamba ng performance ni Sammy Martires, no? Isa sa pinaka-worst ombudsman that I've ever seen. Ang baba ng conviction rate, para bang walang napapakonvict na mga talagang mga tiwali, para bang naging imbis na magpa-convict at mag-imbestiga ng mga tiwali, para bang naging protector pa ng mga tiwali, lalong-lalo na yung Davao Mafia, no? At yung Davao Group, no? Parang wala siya eh, wala eh. Tapos pinigilan niya pa yung pag-access ng SALN, di ba? Ang dami kong nahawakan na kaso diyan, na pati yung 130 plus ang sinususpend, tapos pat kasama yung patay. Preventive suspension, eh yung preventive suspension, you can only do that if there's evidence of guilt is strong. Paano ka nagkaroon ng evidence of guilt is strong kung patay na nung nangyari yung skandalo na yun, no? Bottom line is ang sama talaga ng performance ni Sammy Martires. And hopefully ma-improve niya ito. Sabi naman ni Boying Remulla, I think i-lift niya na yung yung memorandum order number 1 na pinipigilan tayo ma-access yung SALN. Very interested ako kung paano dumaki yung mga assets ng mga senators kasi huli natin yatang datos is 2019 eh, no? Bago dumating si Sammy Martires, so meron dong asset si Bongo. Tingnan natin kung gaano karami yung pagtalon noon, lalong-lalo na pagkatapos nung pagtalamak na pagkuha ng mga kontrata ng CLTG builders, no? So bottom line for me, hopefully Boying will be successful, pero definitely kailangan talaga imbestigahan yung mga ito, kasama yung Pharmaly scandal na pinakahirap na hirap tayo ng mga panahon na yon. We don't know if we're gonna survive as a nation during the peak of the pandemic. Tapos ninanakawan pa tayo. Pinabili tayo lahat ng face shields na wala namang empirical proof na gumagana, at ginatasan pa tayo. Konti na nga lang yung pera natin. Imbis na i-allocate mo yan sa isang meal, eh bumili ka pa ng face shield, di ba? Tapos nanakawin lang pala yung pera. Fake requirement, an empirical proof, an an empirical approach to the pandemic, and then at the same time taking advantage of a national emergency. Yun yung pinaka-greatest, so dapat talaga balikan yan, and hopefully balikan din yung kaso ng confidential funds, balikan yung Freegate scandal ni Bongo, balikan as well yung paglalaro ng procurement sa DepEd. Ang daming issues bukod pa yan dito sa flood control scandal. Tamaan kung sino man tatamaan, kasi tandaan natin, kahit na inappoint si Boying ni Marcos, sa ating constitutional law, si Boying hindi nagre-report kay Marcos. It is an independent constitutional body. Upon appointment, 6 years ang term ni Boying, hindi niya boss si Marcos, completely independent siya. So kahit ng Marcos administration, kailangan niya imbestigahan to be really true to his oath. Kahit na Aquino administration yan, Duterte administration yan, Marcos administration yan, the ombudsman should be the tanod bayan of the people.
I'll go more to the appoint. I mean, it's not like he was the only choice. In fact, he was the most controversial choice. But just very quickly, Dino, this is close to your heart kasi you had some, let's just say, rubbing of shoulders. Hindi naman rubbing shoulder action, more like some tensions, frictions with the former ombudsman during the pandemic. You were one of the very few brave people. I remember yun yung time na na-realize ko, ay, abogado na pala si Dino, kasi I think you reached out to me nung pandemic time, di ba? We were pushing for more transparency in the ombudsman. The former ombudsman was the antithesis of transparency, right?
Well, I asked for the SALED of President Rodrigo Duterte through a Freedom of Information Inquiry, which is the first executive order of President Rodrigo Duterte. So I tested it out. Sige, kung totoong yung FOI mo, executive order mo, labas mo yung SALN mo. Ang sabi ni Rodrigo Duterte, ang repository ng ombudsman. Pumunta ako sa ombudsman. Ang sabi ng ombudsman, dahil sa executive order ko, kailangan mo muna kunin yung consent ni Rodrigo Duterte. Bumalik ako kay Rodrigo Duterte, syempre hindi niya ibibigay yung consent niya. I also did that for Vice President Sara Duterte. Pinagpasa-pasahan po tayo. Bottom line is, talagang pinigilan yung constitutional right of the people to access information under the ombudsman. And alam naman natin, in order for any democracy to work, importante ang freedom of information, importante ang transparency na pinigilan. Naging balakid mismo yung tanod bayan ng tao dito sa kaso na ito. No? So ang hirap pagka ang kalaban mo mismo is yung constitutionally empowered supposedly to be the guard of the people. Unfortunately, Sammy Martires, the worst ombudsman, ginamit niya yung legal knowledge niya not to make sure that the public will be accountable, but rather, I think, ginamit niya yung kaalaman niya just to prevent the public from participating and making sure that the public officials will be held into account.
Interesting, right? When you come from the worst ever, whether it's Digong or Martires, it's easy to look good suddenly, right? Like just like BBM nowadays. But before I go to Carl, because I want to ask about also awareness, mobilization, etc. Because I'm not sure even most people know how powerful and how important the job of the ombudsman is. Cleve, I want to ask you, napansin ko na, naka 7 times ka nag-bottom line kanina. But anyway, going back to you, Cleve. Kasi si Cleve nagre-react, but bottom line is very But Cleve, going back to you, how important, I mean, how relevant it is na dun sa 7 options na binigay kay BBM, pinili pa niya yung pinaka-controversial na actually nagpa-delay sa process, di ba? I mean, still, it's within the frame of time frame na the president would choose, but still, sobrang na-delay to I mean, we were expecting late August pa lang, mid-September pa lang, tapos na to So, BBM picked the most controversial choice. So, constitutionally, Dino is right. Independent yung ombudsman, fiscally independent, hindi coterminous, mag-extend yan all the way to the next administration. And yet, BBM chose him. Why and how relevant it is?
I think parang the way that I read it, Richard, is that kailangan nating parang sa utak ko merong Bongbong Marcos before and after the flood control corruption scandal. Meaning that before the scandal, before he started this issue, lalo na after the midterm elections, we see a president na medyo mas maliit yung political capital. And during that time, if yung time na yon, yung period na yon, yung kailangan niya ng mag-appoint ng bagong ombudsman, I would actually expect that it will be very hard for him to make the same appointment, no? Baka nahirapan siya na si Boying at i-justify at i-defend yung decision na si Boying because he's coming from a different political landscape noon, di ba? Pero after nung SONA niya, di ba, the very controversial SONA, nilabas niya itong issue ng flood control corruption, and then ang dami nang nangyari, no? Parang ang isang buong taon na to kahit ilang buwan pa lang yung nakalipas. I think the president regained some political capital and is a radically different position now where he is right now. And in that position, he's able to make this kind of appointment. People know that he's an ally of the administration. And when you think about it, di ba, the Remullas are, loyalist family yan ng Marcos, no? Not only for Bongbong Marcos, but also for Marcos Sr. Um, yung mga Remulla na longest governor ng Cavite, the patriarch, no, owe his political career, no, partially or if not wholly, no, ano yan, depende yan how you look at it, to the Marcos senior, to the former dictator, no. So kumbaga intertwined talaga yung story ng family din na to, no. So but again, it's easier for him to make that appointment now kasi nga medyo may upper hand na siya. Considering halimbawa, 'di ba, we see now na si Senator Amy Marcos wala pa nga appointment, nagrereklamo na 'yan. Only the potential, the chance of being appointed, nagrereklamo na 'yan. And then now kaliwat kanan nagrereklamo yung mga Duterte allies. And tama si Dino na if this happened a few months, a few weeks back, no, baka nakuha ng mga Duterte allies yung gusto nila kasi sanay sila na medyo may upper hand sila. But the political landscape has shifted and has changed, no? They're no
Ay,
longer
sila
in
nasa top
command.
sila. Hindi sila nasa
No,
bottom. Yan.
bottom na sila ayan di ba? Parang lahat ata sila lumipat sa bottom di ba? Declare na ba natin bottom is in, or I don't know, bottom is out? uh,
Bottom is the new top. Is that
bottom is the
is the new top?
Or, di ba, parang hindi lagi top ka lang. Minsan magiging bottom ka din. Gulong ng palad, gulong ng palad. I mean, di ba, nawala sila sa majority ng Senate, naging minority sila. So this is a whole new feeling bagong feeling sa kanila mag-bottom, no? So baka painful kasi bago to sa kanila, painful kasi ano lang
yun, no? Cliff, it's a different headspace.
It's a different headspace. Pero increasingly, it shows they're becoming noisy, maingay, reklamador, pero irrelevant diba? Cannot influence political outcomes, no? So I think I see it that way, Chard, no? Pasintabi po sa mga kasali natin ngayon, no? Wala po kaming ibang ibig sabihin kundi ang shifts in the power dynamic.
Absolutely. We will go to who's the bottom, who's the top in the latest Senate survey soon. But Carla, I want to ask you, and marami akong nakikitang Pokemon sa likod mo and all I got this.
Oh yeah.
In a good way. I'm a fan. But going back to this, obviously matatanda tayong millennials, no? Kasi Japan anime tayo. But no, going back to this, I want to ask you, Carla, like for an average reasonable citizen, how much are we even aware of the powers and the mandate of the ombudsman? And nagka-crash course pa bigla lahat ngayon sa ombudsman office at anong pwede niyang gawin?
Exactly. Yung gusto malaman actually ng taong bayan. What does the ombudsman actually do? Especially after an ombudsman who really didn't do a good job. 'Di ba? As the attorney Dino would say, and I tend to agree, 'di ba? Na parang ano bang nangyari sa dating ombudsman? Wala tuloy basis. And we set the bar so low, and a lot of people may need to reacquaint themselves about the function of the Tanod Bayan. And I think I'd just like to add then no na the new ombudsman should start peeling away his political colors because he has to start serving the interest of the people. Otherwise, mainit na ngayon sa mga public officials that serve their own interest, which I think can be difficult considering that he's part of a political dynasty. So, ayun yung mga kailangan niyang patunayan. And pinag-uusapan na natin yung mga nasa bottom ngayon, yung mga nasa DDS side, sa DDS verse, kailangan din ipakita impartiality na hindi lang mababansagan yung opisina na attack dog ng administrasyon o sinasabing insurance policy ng appointing power niya. So, that has to be proven as well.
So thank you for that. So Dino, ano yung bottom line dito when it comes to powers of the ombudsman? How important is the power of ombudsman? And I want to connect that to the issue of the ICI because there's also confusion about ano ba talaga itong performative lang ba ito? For the gram ba ito? Or may power ba ito? Or should the ICI be folded into an investigative arm of the ombudsman? Or kailangan ba siya maybe it's irrelevant. Baka hindi na siya kailangan. So there's some debate about the interface between ombudsman and the ICI. I mean, ideally, they should be symbiotic, right?
Well, gusto ko lang sabihin no na nakakapagtaka, balik ko lang doon sa DDS world, no, sa Davao world, Davao Death Squad, Duterte world, kung bakit galit na galit sila kung hindi nila tao, no? Clearly kasi hindi nila tao si Boying, no? Eh, di ba, ang rhetoric nila nung panahon nila is kung wala ka namang kasalanan, wala ka dapat ikatakot. So kung si Boying man yan, kung si Claire Castro man yan, si Laila de Lima man yan, o tao ninyong si Bongo, kahit hindi siya abogado ang ombudsman, wala kang dapat ikatakot kasi wala ka namang kasalanan eh, no? Pero yung nagagalaiti sila, wala pa kang ginagawa si Boying, eh bakit? Ang dami ba nilang tinatakot? Ibalik natin yung rhetoric na normalize sila nung panahon nila. Kung wala kang tinatago, wala ka dapat ikatakot sa tokhang. Walang nakakatakot kung kakatukin ka ni Boying Rimulya at mag-iimbestiga siya kasi wala ka namang kinakatakot. In the same manner, ang sabi na ninyo doon sa pinakamahihirap nung panahon na yon, pagkakatukin sila ng pulis na may daladalang barel kahit na may mga pinagpapatay na kahapon, hindi dapat sila matakot kasi wala ka dapat ikatakot, no? So bakit ba kayo kabadong-kabado kung si Boying ang ombudsman? That's first. Siguro dahil alam nila na ito ang kapangyarihan ng ombudsman. Apart from the fact that the ombudsman initiates criminal action exclusively for salary grade 24 and above, no? Yung pinakamataas na opisyal pagka connected sa opisina nila yung kanilang krimen, no? Ang pinaka nakakatakot na kapangyarihan ng ombudsman is yung capability niyan, mag-preventive suspension, 6 months kaagad yan, while it is investigating and the evidence of guilt is strong. Wala kang magagawa dyan. Almost clear yung mga jurisprudence, no? Kahit nga abusive, katulad ng kay Martires na wala naman talagang ebidensya, even if the evidence of guilt is strong, ang resort mo kasi motion for reconsideration. It is unlikely that the ombudsman will reverse himself. You go to the Court of Appeals, it's unlikely that the Court of Appeals will not give the ombudsman a chance to investigate, no? At saka matagal yan, no? So based on my experience as a practitioner in the ombudsman, in the corruption space, anti-corruption space, ang hirap makalift ng preventive suspension order, no? Kahit na napaka-inosente no pinag-uusapan, kahit na pinaliticize lang yung Office of the Ombudsman, pwedeng makakuha ng preventive suspension if they just want to get rid of somebody for 6 months temporarily on the guise of an investigation. That's first. The second one is mas kinakatakutan ng mga opisyales yung ombudsman, disciplinary powers of removal, yung administrative. Kasi yung sa administrative, ang quantum of proof required is not proof beyond reasonable doubt. It is just substantial evidence for you to be removed from office, no? At anong mas nakakatakot dyan? It is immediately executory. Ibig sabihin, pagkalabas ng decision within 6 months to 1 year, tanggal ka na sa posisyon mo. Yung criminal case, hindi kinakatakutan yan ng lang mga katulad na Jingo Estrada. Hindi na kinakatakutan yan. Alam mo kung bakit? Kasi pag motion for reconsideration lang yan, iaakit nila ng iaakit at i-delay nila hanggang Supreme Court, hanggang kaya nila at nakaupo pa rin sila sa posisyon 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the line. Hopefully, matapos ng Supreme Court, we don't know if it's ever gonna happen. And then they are still senators of the Republic. And then they can still amass further wealth and power. And then hopefully, considering that they are still remaining in their powerful office, they can influence the process. That has always been the case, the mentality of yung pinakasangano, no, pinaka-utak kriminal, na kailangan lang, nasa poder pa rin ako, nasa kapangyarihan pa rin ako, hindi ko kakatakutan kahit na sinong husgado, no? Pero yung ombudsman, pag nagdesisyon yan, tanggal ka sa posisyon mo. Immediately executory unless you secure a temporary restraining order, which is always also unlikely in Philippine courts. Pag nakakuha ka ng TRO at preliminary injunction, palakpakan ka ng mga kapwa-abogado. Wow! Because it is very rare. Even if it's justified based on my experience, it's very rare that we get PROs and preliminary injunctions, no, in cases. That's how powerful the ombudsman is. Mas takot ngayon ang mga politiko sa mere administrative case kaysa sa criminal case of plunder. Plunder, patagal pa yan. Administrative case, pwede ka nang tamaan at the soonest possible time.
Thanks for that. Cleve, you want to come back to the ICI issue. Where does this leave the ICI?
Yeah. I think hindi naman siguro hindi mo naman masasabi, 'di ba, na completely performative or redundant kasi very special naman yung reason kung bakit binuo yung ICI ng Pangulo, no? Parang the time called for it, right? Kailangan natin ng malinaw, impartial, independent investigation. But I think what the people in ICI are forgetting is that not only that the investigation should be impartial and independent, that it should also be transparent, no? Ito yung pinakamalaking issue ngayon sa ICI, that they're refusing to disclose their hearings, their meetings, their investigations to the public, no? When in fact, ang pinakamalaking pinag-uusapan ay pagnanakaw ng pera ng bayan, no? Which is something that has to be made public, not only because parang as someone who studies democracy, hindi lang dahil gusto natin makiisyosyo, hindi lang to chismisan, kundi dahil yung very act nakasali yung taong bayan sa pag-iimbestiga, sa pagpoproseso ng sino dapat yung managot, it strengthens yung relationship ng tao sa pamahalaan. Otherwise, di ba, people will just withdraw and say na may tinatago kayo dyan. The loss of public confidence in government will continue and malalang masasama-sama na lang sila together. So I think they're making a big mistake, no, na closed doors yung kanilang mga investigasyon. The public deserves to know, no? So parang sa usapin ng so I think what's consistent here is that when it comes to the ombudsman, we want transparency on the part of the ombudsman to help us enable transparency. That's also the same for the ICI, no? I suspect papalabas pa lang yung survey namin sa WR numero, but I suspect if you ask the public, gusto ba nila na isa publiko ng ICI yung investigasyon, mga datos, mga yung sinisiwalat dyan? I think yes, no? Tsaka the best ano na din di ba? What is being investigated is collusion among government officials. And what is the best antidote to collusion by government officials? By shining light on it, na nakikita yan ng taong bayan para mas mahirap silang mag-collude. So I think ordinary people, you can't blame ordinary people if at the end of the day, they would ask some questions with the findings of the ICI. If it continues and it remains to be a private, closed-door investigation.
Carla, I want to ask you on this kasi one of the most dramatic elements of this ICI is the Magalong angle. Parang hindi pa rin tapos hanggang ngayon. Parang every other day, Magalong will say something na parang so what's going on? And then may pasabog din yung isang kaibigan natin si Attorney Falsis dito sa issue ng ICI or something like that. Like, what is your read of that? It's like the ICI is almost as controversial now as the rest of the controversy. What's going on?
Yeah, for as long as there are issues like that keep on sprouting, the credibility of the ICI may be put into question. It's very problematic. Like Cleve said a while ago, the antidote to this collusion is absolute transparency. So, lalo yung mga controversies distract the people and of course also distracts the ICC instead of like focusing on what the real situation is. So, sino ba talaga totoong nagkakasala? They're spending time deflecting and defending the issue. And at the end of the day, sa sobrang dami nang naipukol dyan sa ICI pagkatapos, and when they release their findings, edi lalo na mas madali na ngayon pagdudahan, mas marami na tuloy pwedeng maging problematic na concerns na i-raise against it. And with all due respect to Mayor Magalong, he was also given the opportunity to be part of ICI. Na parang if you left the office or the appointment, maybe you should just, settle down kasi already pinas mo na yung opportunity to be part of it. But it adds noise to the whole situation, if you ask me.
Yeah, Richard, quickly, parang I'm sorry pero parang I'm quite disappointed kay Mayor Magalong kasi parang parang unnecessary, di ba? Unnecessary na binabalik niya pa din yung sarili niya, pinopoliticize niya to. I think sinasabi niya na si Claire Castro yung dahilan kung bakit siya he was forced to resign. I think it's unnecessary, especially if you think the bigger picture na ang pinag-uusapan dito yung investigation ng corruption. Kaya tuloy ako medyo lalagyan ko ng onting, hindi siguro red flag, orange flag sa akin muna si Mayor. Kasi medyo I don't think this is a proper response. And if I can say it, no, parang it's a gentleman-like, it's not statesman-like, it's uncalled for.
Ako red flag.
Red flag na sa'yo.
Red flag.
Bakit?
Red flag sa akin to si Magalong, di ba? Kung if you really wish the ICI well, wag ka na puro dada. Kung nag-resign ka na. That's done. Wish the ICI all the best. Try to help in any other capacity, but don't steal the show. and act as if you're the star and you're the most relevant. Alam mo, Mayor Magalong, magaling ka man o hindi, you don't have any monopoly in terms of the skill to investigate, no? Ngayon, kung nag-resign ka na, then go back to Baguio and govern, no? Ayaw mo na eh, sabi mo eh, hindi ka naman willing maging commissioner, ayaw mo namang or maging independent member or maging member ng commission, di ba? So kung hindi ka maging willing, ayaw mo rin mag-advisor, then tama na, tahimik ka na. 'Di ba? Pero sa akin kasi, 'di ba, maraming accusations na si Mayor Magalong mas close sa Davao Group, hindi niya naman dinedeny yung
Well,
friendship
openly, he
niya.
says, yeah, wala siyang regret supporting Duterte. He has good relations
Oh,
with Bongo.
wala siyang, and alam mo, nakita ko naman yang si Mayor Magalong yan. Nag-testify yan, by the way, kay Laila de Lima case. I was there when he testified as government witness against Laila de Lima. No? So sa akin lang yung willingness mo to be in the witness stand,
Oh,
even if
sorry,
you
sorry.
know.
Wait, what? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he testified. No, he
Oh,
testified
I have
as
no
a
idea.
state witness
In what
in against
capacity?
Laila de Lima. In the contrived cases where she was acquitted, no.
Wait,
So
he was,
nagtataka lang nga ako noon eh,
ano
bakit siya
bang role
pumayag?
niya? Bakit siya witness ng gobyerno? Wala na siya
Well,
sa
ang sabi kasi
di
siya yung
ba?
CIDG head. And nung CIDG head,
Ah,
nung nag-raid si Laila de Lima
ng Justice
noong
Secretary.
Bureau of Corrections, tinanggal niya yung CIDG as part of it. Nag-stick siya with NBI and
I didn't know that. Sorry. Oh, wow.
with hindi na CIDG, NBI and with other elements of the PNP but not CIDG kasi based on her evaluation, CIDG may have been compromised. No, and that's her prerogative as the Secretary of Justice. So ngayon, parang ganito ginagawa ni Mayor Magalong, para bang pinuliticize yun at ginawa ng issue na kaya raw tinanggal yung CIDG kasi baka naman daw may pinoprotektahan si Laila de Lima. Ganun lang, chismis, haka-haka. Pero nung tinanong naman siya explicitly in the witness stand namin,
Hindi niya
meron ka bang
masubstantiate.
kahit na anong investigation linking Laila de Lima in any kind of wrongdoing and any kind. Ang sagot niya naman, wala. So natuwa naman ako doon. Pero in the mere fact na pumayag kang maupo doon, being a witness by
Yeah,
the
I
state,
remember. Yeah, it came up. Yeah,
yeah,
interview.
medyo mali yun for me.
You're right.
No?
Yeah, yeah.
So sa akin, kasi nagpamayag siya na maging kasangkapan ng Duterte administration before
So
in
you're
the
saying
greatest
enabler
frame up
siya.
in Philippine history.
You're saying enabler siya in that sense.
Oo, dapat hindi siya pumayag doon eh. Hindi pa sampina niyo ako. Pero ito, without the need of any sampina, he sat down there voluntarily, willingly, against somebody who is definitely innocent and he knows it for a fact.
Wow, sorry.
Red flag na pala sa akin, upgrade ko na. I didn't know this. This is new information to me.
Akala ko
So,
Hermes
mukhang,
orange ka pa rin. Pwede from Louis Vuitton orange to Hermes orange or Ocon.
So sorry, sa akin red flag ever since, no? Pero nagsabi naman siya ng totoo sa witness, nung tinanong siya, at least, and
But
we
that's
use that.
interesting with him. He's very transparent, right? Like, so feeling ko lang, that's why I want to ask also Carlo on this and also go back to Cleve. Like, I think a part of him is surprised at the reaction of people. I think hindi pa rin nagsink in sa kanya na he cannot go on and say, okay ako sa mga Duterte and Gibo, and then may backlash sa mga progressives and things. Not to mention, I always said, ano bang criteria to be part of mayors for good governance? Parang, I'm sorry, like, hindi pa mga dynasties yung mga iba dyan? Like, I mean, like, I understand that politically you want to build momentum, you want to be inclusive, but inclusivity without criteria, I'm not sure that's gonna, like, ikaw, Carlo, where do you come from? Again, ako kasi I cannot be perfectly objective about it. Not only see, like, I'm from Baguio, family friend, but I was also there during the launch of Mayors for Good Governance sa UP Cinema, no? So, I want to get your opinion because feeling I cannot be perfectly objective on this, but
Right.
yeah, facts are facts. I mean, there's no denial around.
That's true. I think a lot of people went under the Magalong green flag movement, primarily because he was one of the first people who actually had the courage. Parang kung tama ang alaala ko, hindi pa pumuputok, hindi pa sinasabi ni President Marcos sa SONA niya, binambagit niya na yung issues on infrastructure corruption. And a lot of people, I think, resonated with that. Now, ngayon, nagkakaroon ng some sort, in my mind, some sort of unraveling na parang, teka lang, we were given opportunity to serve and be part of this investigative body. Then at the same time, all of a sudden, because something was being done, bigla kang nag-resign. Tapos ngayon, you can't stop. Parang kang you can't get over your ex, something to that extent. Na parang may sinasabi ka palagi. Di ba? So parang to me, you know, just get over with it, di ba? You pick the side, and then just deal with it, I suppose.
Right. So basically the bottom line here is that we care about Ombudsman office, we care about the ICE among other things because the other institutions who were expected to step up are not stepping up, right? As we speak, the Congress already recused itself from investigating itself correctly but the Senate always had this sense that, they're above the fray, blah, blah, blah. But in a very quick succession from Red Ribbon Committee ni Mark Oleta to Blue Ribbon Committee ni Lacson, sino ba? Si Tulfo na ba? Si Erwin Tulfo na ba mag Blue Ribbon Committee? Like, ikaw, Dino, what is your take on that? What the heck is going on with the Senate?
Well, di ba? In less than 2 weeks, another Senate coup was being talked about. So kung tatanungin mo ko, what in the hell is going on with the Senate? Obviously, it's all over the place. Sabi ko nga, may bagyo, may lindol, ang hirap ng buhay, grabe yung skandalo dyan sa flood control scandal. Tapos, ang ipapasa mong resolution is Rodrigo Duterte na magkaroon na ang house arrest na clearly nireject na ng ICC.
Ang daming time, di ba? This is during the Cebu earthquake. I mean, by the way, our hearts go to people in Cebu and also now to Davao and Mindanao, by the way. So parang
correct. And then, ang daming
Senado.
issues. Ang daming issues na kinakarap ng bansa. Tapos, doon talaga kayo nag-devote ng time na, to begin with, number one, they know that this resolution does not mean anything. Number two, it politicizes a judicial process. Diba? It doesn't mean anything because we don't have any hold and with respect to the ICC. Second, it politicizes the judicial process. It opens and rubs salt to the wounds of the families who were victimized. And number four, there was not even in any of the discussion whatsoever, which makes me really, really angry. Yung mga hinagpis ng pamilya, yung biktima ngayon na wala man lang kahit anong klaseng state support to try to make sure that the families of the victims will be able to recover from this mass atrocity that they've experienced. Wala, nada, nothing in that conversation was about the victims. All the conversation was about Rodrigo Duterte and supposedly matanda na siya, which is now belied by the ICC's findings, yung medical doctors nila, which is now, sabi ng ICC, hindi talaga siya pwede ma-interim release because he still poses a clear threat against the Philippines. There is a chance that he will be a flight risk, that he will repeat all the things that he has done, no? So yan ang oras ng Senado natin. So kung ako ang tatanungin mo bakit ganyan, kasi puro payaso yun nasa Senado
Well,
di ba? Buti na lang may
I'll take on that.
against it.
I'll take on that kasi bigla naging hero si Lacson sa mga ibang progressives and all. Like, I'll put aside the whole GMRC, Lenny 2022 thing or whatever. But Lacson talking about, kasi digong Pilipino, kapwa Pilipino, blah, 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 sympathy ka na. What about sympathy dun sa mga libo-libong Pinoy na namatay, di ba? Yun ang problema yung false sympathy nila. But I want to also ask on this, and Cleve, maybe you want to start on Carlo. Hindi ba medyo Lacson also set this up for a problem because by just demonizing all sorts of insertions without nuance, by saying lahat may insertions, he basically set it up for, like kumbaga, Zarzuela. So much so that even Risa Ontiveros was suddenly a target of black ops. Oh, bakit si Risa may insertion din, di ba? Like, medyo sabog, I'll just be honest. Medyo shotgun whiplash yung approach in Lacson, which I felt slightly self-promotional, maybe, or maybe not. But whatever his intention was, I don't think he was smooth about it. Not to mention, he gave too much airtime to Jingoy and Joel and the whole gang, right? Like, he was a bit amateurish, I would say, about the whole thing.
Ako, I think, parang the problem is that marami sa ating mga senador, sa gitna, sabi nga ni Dino, sa gitna ng dami na kinakaharap natin, parang lahat talaga sila nag-audition for 2028. At ang basa ng mga senador na ito, gusto nila, kasama nila siguro si Inday Sara, sila ang VP ni Inday Sara. Parang, and because of that, pumapalya yung kanilang mga statements, mga resolution, mga because naka-cloud yung judgment nila ng if not fear of the Duterte backlash, potential Duterte backlash, if not fear of that, is that they want to court that constituency. I think it's safe to say na if you look at how for the past elections, ano naman yung attempt ni Senator Ping, ano yung kanyang usual na election narrative, ano yung usual na plataforma niya at policy. Medyo malapit yan dun sa Duterte constituency. So it's not surprising that he's probably playing both sides, no? Namamangka sa dalawang ilog, tinitignan niya saan siya pwedeng eventually baka magkaroon ulit siya ng chance sa 2028 kahit pa parang parang Alan Peter, 'di ba? Ganon din Senator Cheese, no? Kaya yung mga palya parang ganun yung lumalabas eh. It's an audition for 2028 kung sino magiging ikalawang pangulo ni candidate for vice president ni Sara, kung si Sara yung tatakbong presidente. But I think what they are forgetting is that yung Duterte supporters, there might be a little bit bigger than the others, no? In the last survey ng WR numero, no, sa August survey namin, na yan ay you see that around 30, wait lang around 30%, no, Duterte supporters. Malaki pa din, no? But 7 out of 10 are not Duterte supporters. And more importantly, if you compare the August to our April data, in April, that's around 40%. By August, you lose 10 percentage points. So there is a decline here. It's shrinking, no? So I think a few months from now, we see in the survey what will happen. But if the trend continues, then they might be auditioning for the wrong camp, di ba? Kaya, tas nagkakamali sila. And also, what I also don't like is that Senator Risa Ontiveros, because she's also a potential 2028 player, because people like her performance, di ba? Good Senate performance, no? Alice Go. Grabe, no? Parang ano na, no? 10 years ago na ba yung Alice Go? Sa dami na nangyari, di ba? Pogo, Alice Go, ang daming mga
Those were the days, the innocent days.
yun yung performance ni Senator Risa. Kaya I think for some senators, what I don't like is that she's fair game to them. Na ginagamit din nila ngayon yung current situation para supposedly eliminate din siguro yung potential na 2028 game ni Senator Risa. So that might be the case na okay, lahat to mga insertion, lahat to pare-parehas. Ako lang ang hindi, ako lang ang pinakamalinis dito, di ba? That might be the play for someone like Senator Ping, and that's very disappointing.
Sorry, Dino, I'll go back to technical and then before I go to Carlo. Technically speaking, hindi naman insertion yung ginawa ni Risa, di ba? Amendment lang naman siya, di ba? I mean, can you explain that? Kasi medyo may fake news situation nangyari.
Alam mo, trabaho ng lahat ng mambabatas na busisiin ang budget, no? Power of the purse. Lagyan, tapyasan, lagyan, dagdagan kung kailangan. Kasi kung hindi, titingin lang pala sila doon, magiging stampad noong National Expenditure Program ng executive. Bakit pa tayo nagpagkasweldo ng Kongreso? So hindi nila trabaho maging stampad ng National Expenditure Program. In fact, each item pwede lang tapsisan na dagdagan batay sa kanilang pag-aaral. Having said that, ang ginawa ni Risa, ang difference sa amendment and insertion, ang insertion, nilagay mo doon sa bicameral at saka sa small committee that no one else is looking. Si Risa, sinabi niya kailangan amendahan yan in open plenary, in open debates, opening it up for debates and interpolation by all her colleagues. And even after that, kahit may proposal siyang amendments in the National Expenditure Program, she ultimately voted no. So paano ko, nag-no ako, kasalanan ko pa rin? Hindi ko di ba, ang pumirma niyang National Expenditure Program na yan, sino ba? Speaker of the House, Senate President, and kahit si President Marcos. So President Marcos cannot really wash her hands off this budget, di ba? Totoo yung sinasabi nila. Tapos sisisihin mo si Lisa Ontiveros na nag-vote no, di ba? So parang medyo unfair yata. And just because meron siyang amendment na very transparent, out in the debate, very clear, she subjected herself into interpolation. There is a difference between amendment and insertion. Insertion in the dark room where konti lang kayo, no one was watching, hindi transparent, away from the public's gaze and scrutiny, biglang naipasok doon sa bicameral committee, tapos biglang napirmahan na lang. Yun yung insertion.
Tapos
diba?
meron ka pang
Hindi yung
mga
amendment.
Diskaya, district engineer, I mean the whole trail di ba? Hindi
Sila lang nag-uusap,
Exact.
bypassing the plenary, bypassing the debates in the Senate and in Congress, in the House of Representatives. Kaya siya insertion. Para bang nag-decide lang yung USEC dahil sinabihan Diskaya, tapos pina-insert ni Jinggoy na walang debate, hindi in plenary, pinasok doon sa small committee. Yun ang insertion. Pero pagka in-amend mo in open plenary, trabaho mo yun. Ginagampanan ni Risa Hontiveros yung kanyang trabaho, nakipagdebate siya at nung in-amendahan niya ang National Expenditure Program. Ang big contrast, nung pinasok yung mga insertions in the bicameral committee supposedly, nila Jinggoy Estrada at ng mga iba pang senador, hindi nila ginagampanan bagkos pinag-usapan nila nung USEC para magkaroon siya ng project at para tumapyas noong komisyon. Ang layo nun sa ginawa ni Risa Hontiveros.
Ito na guys, ito na yung highlight ng discussion natin. Let's look at who's at the top and who's at the bottom dito sa Senado. Well, this is a Malu survey, but I don't know how credible I'll take it. But in fairness, it got naman the BAM and all right. But so Risa and Rafi are still on top. This is similar to the other quarterly survey I saw. But Riza's very favorable. Yung strong feeling of favorability is more than twice than anyone else. I mean, na second in line, whether it's Tulfo. And then Robin Padilla apparently is still in the mix. If I were to believe this Malu survey, at the bottom, and I think this is what's very interesting. You have Mark Villar, na hindi ko pa rin alam yung boses niya. Has anyone heard Mark Villar? Kasi
Nagsusumigaw daw ang boses, di ba? Nagsusumigaw ang gawa.
Like I don't even know yung boses niya. And then of course, man of the hour, Jinggoy Estrada. So Carlo, are you surprised by this spreadsheet?
Well, if you look at the bottom three, hindi
Cliff,
natin na
why are you
nakakagulat.
reacting to every
It's not.
noun and verb in my sentence?
No, it's not surprising because these are the people who are, infamous for the wrong reason or famous for the wrong reasons at this point in time, di ba? And I think very clear no na mukhang clear na hindi talaga safe si Senator Jinggoy at sa issue na to. So, and it's clean. Gusto ko lang respond din na number one, si Senator has always been consistent in terms of her performance. And which is, I just want to recognize that because despite the troll machinations set against her, I think people are hopefully the way I see it is that people are starting to recognize who are the people who really work in the Senate right now. So at least to be fair, kasi di ba consistent din naman si Senator Mark Villar. Sabi niya nung nangangampanya siya, tahimik lang siya. So I guess may consistency.
Yeah, tsaka parang sir, pagka tinignan mo yung results, 'di ba? So, ang bottom dito, hindi lang naman si Jinggoy. May mga kasama pa siyang mga bottom, fellow bottom dito sa survey na to sa favorability. Kasama si Mark Villar, Joel Villanueva, at saka si dating SP, Chis Escudero. Sila to, magkakasama sa apat. And I think kung merong common denominator dito is really the involvement in the flood
But Cleve,
control
I cannot understand
corruption.
bakit may 5%, sorry, na very favorable kay Cheese. Tumaas ang kilay ko dito eh. Like, who are these 5% and 32% na favorable sa kanya? Like, who are these people? I don't see them.
Baka ano to,
Hindi
mga,
Israel.
hindi, baka ito yung mga gusto na mga, ang SP nila naka-t-shirt, di ba? Feeling Gen Z and, yan.
Yan,
So, di ba,
Fashion Week.
parang, yes, oo. So, yun, di ba, parang if you look at these four people at the bottom, ibig sabihin dito, also, di ba, aside from the fact na related talaga to dun sa flood control corruption scandal, na yan yung nasa utak ng ating mga mamamayan whenever they ask about the performance of the senators. I just can't imagine yan yung iniisip nila. But also look at these numbers na in general talagang sadsad na yung Senado natin, yung kalidad ng Senado natin. Grabe yung pagbagsak ng kalidad, the people in our Senate now compared to the Senate of the past, not to romanticize all of the previous Senates, but this is just really unprecedented also in terms of
But
the...
Bong Revilla topped the Senate in 2010. So, medyo matagal na tayo
nasa ganitong sitwasyon,
medyo
diba?
matagal na yun.
Oo, diba? But and then so hopefully ang isang mahalaga rin dito is that favorability hopefully translates to something else. And dito papasok si Ombudsman, dito papasok yung ICI, no? Because clearly, if there's absence of public confidence in these senators, it's also high time to use the power of the law. Again, to power of the law, hindi po politikahin, hindi talagang ano lang, gamitin lang ng executive yung kapangyarihan niya, pero the power of the law. If talagang lumabas sa ebidensya na sangkot sila, then they must face the consequences. And I think the people will support that to see these senators also face the consequences.
We're going towards the latter, the final part of our discussion very shortly in terms of what should progressive pinks and the rest do in the coming weeks kasi nagiging intense na yung situation, their destabilization plot, etc. But I want to ask you, like, Dino, etong bottom club, itong mga controversial people na minention ng nila Cleve and all based on some of the surveys, ligtas na ba sila or delikado ba talaga sila? I mean, it looks like the blue ribbon hearings in the Senate are gonna be downgraded, to put it mildly. But in terms of legal culpability and also in terms of our history of, let's just say, very slow wheels of justice, I mean, realistically, what are we looking at here, Dino, in terms of culpability?
Well, in terms of culpability, it will largely depend on the pressure from the public. No? Kung walang pressure from the public, I don't think, no, given the influence of these people, gagalaw yung mga yan. No? So dapat constant yung public clamor, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon. Lahat ng simbahan na pinupuntahan ko, pinagdarasal, may bago silang prayer, no, na we're under very dark moments. Sabi nga na, Lord, heal our land. Tapos lahat, kahit na UAAP cheer, ikulong ang mga korap. Kahit saan ako magpunta, yun ang tinig ng taong bayan. Kaya pag hindi pinpublicize or pinublish or tinelevise nitong ICI, yung kanilang proceedings, ang feeling ng tao dito may pinagtatakpan. Ang feeling ng mga tao dito, sabi nila, trial by publicity, kaya lang iniiwasan, di ba? Una, investigation ito, hindi trial. Hindi naman itong ICI ang maghuhusga. So walang problema kung out in the public kung ano man yung mga findings sila kasi hindi naman sila ultimately yung maghuhusga. So mali yung trial by publicity na yan. No? Pangalawa, malinaw rin sa akin na para bang ang dinidistrust mo pa yung taong bayan na hindi nila kaya i-handle yung information. Kami na nga yung ninakawan, kami pa yung dinidistrust nyo? Really? Na we cannot...
Gaslighting. Gina-gaslight
Nainis ako
tayo
eh.
eh.
And yung sinasabi pa na nakarating sa akin na kaya daw, hindi, ayaw nila i-televise, hindi raw marunong magtanong itong mga ito. Tandaan natin si Justice Reyes, I've never seen him in any kind of litigation, ha? Kung kaya niya pa, at kung kaya niya pa yung inquiry, in investigative capacity. Ang tagal niyan sa judiciary. Sa judiciary, pagdating sa the records, magde-decide ka na lang. Pero iba kasi yung case building, ha? At ang trabaho ng ICI is case building, not adjudicatory. So siya, hindi ko alam kung anong track record ni Justice Reyes diyan pagdating sa capacity na yan, no? Wala akong nakikita doon na napakagaling mag-imbestiga at mag-case build. No, ang sabi hindi raw magagaling magtanong kaya ayaw raw nila ma-televise, no? Bottom line is, pagka yung publiko para bang binangkrap mo na naman at pinagtakpan mo at sinanitize mo at wala na naman nakikitang resolution. Ang tanong mo sa akin kanina, Richard, safe na ba sila? I don't think so. I don't think so. And hopefully, si Boying nandyan, may Department of Justice nandyan. Sana, kahit na ganyan yung ICI, ang dami ko nang kinakabahan na ako sa ICI, sana it does its job. Pero definitely the public should not stop. And I don't think they will stop. And no one should be safe. Trilyon ang pinag-uusapan dito, ha? Trilyon ang pinag-uusapan. Barya yung Napoli scandal dito at nagalit tayo. Barya yung PDAP scam dito. Trilyon ang pinag-uusapan na infrastructure na dapat na ina-enjoy ng publiko tapos ninakaw nila. No? No one is safe. No one should be safe. We should constantly demand for accountability. Ikulong na yung mga kurakot na yan.
Pero barya rin, sabi ng DDS, barya lang naman daw yung Piatos eh. Million lang naman daw. Yun ang problema sa mga barya-barya na yan. Parang kung saan-saan napupunta.
Baka mas malaki yung pagkita nila sa pagiging troll farm nila.
Yun nga eh. But speaking of, just before we get the last part of this discussion, Diskaya Witness Protection Program. Kasi maraming mga Diskaya diehard supporters, 'di ba? DDS, yung DDS din pala. Diskaya diehard
May
supporters.
iteration ng DDS.
Well, nagmi-mutate to eh, parang COVID-19. But anyway, on a serious note, are you worried na bibigyan sila ng witness protection program? It's a ridiculous thing. Kasi contractor lang naman sila, biktima lang naman sila, na manipulate sila ng mga politiko. Last time I checked, these guys may be even more powerful than politicians, considering the breadth and scale of their projects. I mean,
Ako,
what do you expect in terms of witness protection program? And then we'll go to the
Sorry.
ways forward. Sorry. Dino, do you think
Yeah.
bibigyan sila ng witness protection program?
Well, dapat hindi sila qualified, they're the most guilty. Hindi naman magiging ano yan, hindi naman matutupad yan kung hindi sila yung nagbigay ng pera kasi ang binayad naman yan supposedly sa contractor. Isipin mo na lang yung flow of money. Paano makakarating yung pera doon sa mga politiko na tiwali, 'di ba? Kung hindi nila inabot. Kasi sila ang pay to the order of eh. Sila yung contractor eh. 'Di ba? Tapos so ibig sabihin, binigay sa kanila, may pinag-abutan sila. So hindi mangyayari yung entire scheme kung wala sila. Number one. Number two, lamya naman, sila yung nag-ghost eh. Proyekto mo, hindi mo ginawa eh. So, sino most guilty? Yung senador na hindi naman dapat siya yung gagawa? O yung congressman na hindi ba dapat siya gagawa? Ang most guilty dito yung contractor. Siya yung dapat gagawa eh. Di ba? So the flow of money would not be possible without them. Sila ang nag-ghost project. Sila yung main entity that enabled the entire scheme altogether with the indispensable participation of the legislators who inserted these projects and the implementing agencies like the DPWH who were supposed to be the ones auditing this project and reporting that they were indeed constructed, di ba? So may indispensable participation lang dito ng legislators at yung implementing agency pero sila ang most guilty. Lalong-lalo na grabe yung mga diskaya na feel pa nila na superstar sila, mag-heart sign pa, no? Mag-heart sign pa, tapos magkakape pa, tapos papayungan pa, tapos yung itsura pa ni Justice Reyes nung na-meet niya raw si Joey Villanueva, parang kakamayan pa. Parang he should have known better, di ba? Na parang hindi dapat ganun yung optics
Smile
na
pa sa mga
pinapakita mo kung
meetings.
nag-iimbestiga ka, di ba? Di ba? Alam naman niya ni Justice Reyes, justice yan dati na
Professionalism yan,
dapat ano
basic.
siya, di ba? Like Caesar's wife, free from any kind of suspicion. Yung gestures na ganyan, yung optics na ganyan, unacceptable. Pati yung sinidiscaya yung ganyang kind optics. So dapat lang at ayaw pa ibalik yung pera. Pinagtatanggol pa nitong si Marcoleta kung bakit daw kailangan ibalik muna yung pera. 'Di ba? Wala man lang remorse. 'Di ba dapat ang una mong pakita muna bago ka makapag-benefit na naman sa taxpayers' money ng protection mo is at the very least meron kang remorse. Kung wala kang remorse, bakit ka bibigyan ng
So
protection? Walang
paras kayo
remorse,
ni
wala kang
Cayetano.
repentance.
So paras kayo ni Cayetano, repentance ang kailangan dito at okay
Oo
lang.
nga eh. Pag ako, payag ako mag-resign si Cayetano, 'di ba sabi niya, para daw magkaroon ng eleksyon, mag-resign siya, tapos i-prosecute siya, magsama sila sa kulungan ni Diskaya, mag-Bible study sila doon. Yan ang dream come true sa
Wait,
akin.
wait. So before I go to Carla and for the important part of way forward, isingit ko lang last to Dino, no? Since I had to delete for one just para sabi nung ito. Is Mark Oleta a legal luminary? I want to ask, I'm really curious kasi every time I meet a DDS, whether sa Grab, whether sa some para sa ang galing talaga ni Mark Oleta, ang galing niya abogado ganun, tas the way na he was nandun ako sa Senado, the way he talks ganun. Like sa mga caliber ng mga abogado, Dino, nasaan siya? Is he a luminary? Because the Justice Ascuna said he has not yet reached the summit of his capabilities.
Mhm.
What is your Justice Carpio? Dinelit ko na kasi hot mic moment. Ikaw, what is your as a lawyer? How
Well,
do you
sure ako bungangero siya. Sure ako bungangero siya, no? Bungangero does not mean you're a legal luminary. Siguro ang legal luminary is tingnan natin yung track record mo when it comes to handling cases. And I don't know, I'm just more than a decade in practice, no? And in that more than
no,
a
but like
decade
in
in
your
practice,
world, like is he someone you look up to in terms of
and definitely
as a
not.
legal scholar, as a great
Definitely not. Kasi
mind?
nga, wala nga akong maalalang kahit anong publication. Sabi mo nga na may citation. Wala rin ako naalalang kaso na hinawakan niya na celebrated na ang ganda ng pagkahandle, na I will salute him. I don't know his litigation background. He will always say 30 years in litigation. Everyone can say that 40 years, 50 years doesn't make you a luminary. No? Tingnan natin how you handled the cases, whether these cases were difficult, whether these cases were celebrated, whether these cases were mind-boggling, and whether you were able to set a jurisprudence. I don't remember any jurisprudence
So, hindi
set by
siya top.
Marcoleta's
Hindi siya
counsel.
top. Hindi siya top.
Baka sa ilalim.
Wala ko these are I'm
Bottom
just
club
curious.
din. Bottom club din.
Wala akong sinabi na ito yung sinabi ng ibang justices or something.
Baka. Sa akin lang naman 'tong opinion, no? Pwede niya rin 'di ba? Pwede niya rin ma-judge yung lawyering ko, 'di ba? Pero ako, ang alam ko lang wala akong maalala. Wala akong maalala na
Right.
celebrated case ni Marcoleta.
And speaking of the other lawyer also, Matt Kaufman, galit siya ngayon kasi talo na naman yung kaso niya, yung interim release. Where is Kaufman in your Kamusta si Kaufman sa tingin mo? Yung ICC case ni Digong, parang hopeless case na, no? Archive.
Well, at least very clear, no? Rejected. Ilang beses na siya kinocall yung attention niya sa mga kasinungalingan na sinasabi niya ng even ng prosecution daw, nag-agree daw yung Philippine government, wala raw opposition yung Philippine government, hindi raw totoo, sabi ng Philippine government, sabi wala raw opposition ng Office of the Prosecutor, hindi raw totoo, sabi ng Office of the Prosecutor, sabi niya may sakit daw si Digong, hindi sinabi ng registrar para naman kaya niya mag-hold ng trial.
Yung ba yung
There's
Topacio
nothing.
ng international law?
Ano yan?
Is he a Topacio of international law or Harry Roque of international law?
Well, ako, basta wala akong bilib kasi parang puro talo eh. Ang narinig ko dyan rinig ko yung ano niya, yung
Meron siyang
mga
isang
hinawakan
panalo
niyang
na
kaso.
technicalities in fairness. Meron siyang isang
Pero
panalo doon.
pero marami rin siya yung pagkapatalo na biglang nagwi-withdraw siya, di ba?
So technically hindi lost kasi nag-withdraw na siya. So meron siyang
Nagwi-withdraw
strategic
siya kasi patalo
point
na eh, di
system.
ba? I don't
Exactly.
know. Basta sa akin, kung ako tatanungin mo, I don't respect these kinds of lawyers.
Okay, I think we got enough of content there. We can move on to the last and most important part. Starting with you, Carlos. So we had the September 21. Siyempre ako yung pinakabata sa atin lahat. So para sa akin, that was the
Sorry.
Baka may
That was
mag-fact
the
check. Teka
Fake
lang, may
news, fake news,
mamahal-mahal.
fake news.
that was
Fake.
the
Kaufman to. Kaufman.
that was
Oh my.
the greatest, most amazing rallies I saw sa Pilipinas. Siyempre baby pa ako nung EDSA 2, so wala akong maalala. But from what I remember, almost parang malapit na papunta doon eh. So I haven't seen even yung million people. I mean, syempre bata rin ako nung time ng Luneta, blah 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 sa mga yung bare-bare lang sinabi din nung panahon ni Napoles. Again, baby ako noon, so hindi ko alam masyado. So in my lifetime, this is like super the biggest I saw in the Philippines. I've seen bigger ones in Hong Kong, etc. But this was really anyway. So from there to where we are right now, ang gulo sa ICI, ombudsman is still a question mark, although in a positive way. Sabog yung Senate, nag-away-away sila, ganun-ganun with all of these things happening now, sinong bottom, sinong top sa mga surveys, ganun. Carlo, what should people do, especially the youth? Are you seeing a second wind of activism? Kasi for a long time,
Right.
di ba, medyo skeptical tayo sa university activism, lalo sa amin sa UP. I think LaSalle is at Ateneo probably better, or UP Manila for that matter. Cliff should know better. I mean, like, where do you see in terms of mobilization? Should we do it every week, every Friday?
Right.
How to make sure this doesn't become like Mendiola riot? Or I'll make it even more controversial, Carl. I'll put you on the spot. Should the threat of political violence be leverage to push the institutions to do their job? Kasi kung masyadong cute lang, baka wala rin mangyari. Baka ano lang yan, parang Titas of Manila lang picnic every weekend. That's not also gonna work, is it? So I think these are legitimate questions.
Yeah, first yung first question about the threat, the threat of violence. I think we're getting charged to the point that it might be a possibility. I'm not discounting that later on, but I think if you ask me, medyo malayo pa yon because a lot of our youth, especially nung nakita ko nung September 21, I was there also during the Million People March back in 2013. Like you, bata pa ako nung EDSA 2. I think it was Dino's political awakening he mentioned about some time ago.
He was
My
he
point
was
is,
there. I think he was already an organizer.
if I remember correctly. So, but my point is, a lot of the people who I saw in 21, it was their first time to attend the rally, and really, explore that other side of activism. Because laging may branding na parang, oh, they mga keyboard warriors lang yan. They only exist, they just rally based on virality, sharing memes or whatever. But what's dangerous, well, not really dangerous, what I'm optimistic is that one, yung 21, nagkaroon ng intergenerational presence, that people from the first EDSA, the people from the second EDSA, the people from the Million People March, the church, LGBT groups, civil society groups are all there. So I'm optimistic that it will not be shoved under the rug. Practically because I guess it's nature actually helping us this time because sinasabi mabilis makalimut ang mga Pilipino eh. Itong fertilizer scam, epidaph scam siguro madaling kalimutan dahil nabaon sa limot. Tuwing umuulan, hindi maaalis sa isipan ng mga tao yung flood control. So I guess that's one thing that's in our favor. And second, like you said a while ago, weekly gagawin, di ba? There's a build-up already for November 30, which is, I think, good because when we lose momentum, especially in these times na iniisip lang ng mga political operators na parang, no, i-distract lang natin sila. Let's just throw them a curveball, madi-distract na tong kabataan. No, I think they're very focused right now and on this issue. Because, yun nga, pinag-usapan na a while ago, so na sila sa tradition, politics as usual. And especially the Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they're sick and tired of the bickering and the way the Senate investigations are going. So, hindi natin alam yung extent na gagawin nila, which is good. Keep them guessing because that's our, I think, leverage against the politicians. They don't know who they're dealing with. And if there's any indication na nangyari sa ibang countries na in Southeast Asia, in Nepal, diba? It was also ignited by a lot of it by the youth. So baka wag na nilang paabutin doon. Nakita
Pero
na
sa
natin
Nepal,
na nangyari
because I have a colleague here sa Oxford from Nepal, almost she didn't make it kasi daw sinusunog lahat ng dokumentos ng mga Jejemon gangs. Nabayaran pala daw ng mga corrupt na officials na ayaw mahuli yung dokumentos. So na-hijack talaga yung sa kanila eh. Although eventually the good guys came on top. So doon ako natatakot na baka if this gets out of control, the room for abuse and opportunism is immense, immense.
Sinampulan na nila ng 21, di ba? Merong biglang may fragment na pakawala ng ibang grupo sa Mendiola like you mentioned a while ago. So just to sum up, yes, for the Filipino youth, this is going to be a turning point for a lot of us because for a lot of the youth, it's their first foray into activism and their new flavor of activism. So wag lang magsawa yung mas matatandang generation to be patient with these younger generations and let them lead to a certain extent, if you ask me. Which I think they're doing right now. Yung cheer sa UAAP, yung pambabara ng mga nandoon sa People Power Monument, dun sa mga pro-Duterte camp, yan yung creativity na aabangan and I'm very optimistic when it comes to the youth of the Philippines.
Thank you. Fantastic. I mean, Cleve, I want to go back to this is the TikTok generation's kind of rally. How is it different from older generations like yours?
I appeal.
Fact checker, may fact checker dapat yung show natin.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing as a new form of protest, as a new form of political participation is that one yung paggamit ng digital platforms, no, in coordination with being present on the ground, no. Parang yung pag-shame sa nepo babies online, pag-shame sa asawa, kapamilya, mga corrupt na kinabang, especially their ostentatious display of wealth. That's really something that is quite very Gen Z, no? Very TikTok generation na way ng pagpoprotesta. But also, yung paggamit din ng mga references ng mga digital memes, ganyan. Halimbawa, yung paggamit ng itong One Piece na na flag, no? Quite consistent among different countries, no? Meron sa Indonesia, meron sa Nepal, meron din sa Pilipinas as something na nagmo-mobilize para sa kanila dahil meaningful para sa kanila. Kasi nung panahon ni Richard, panahon ni Dino, baka tayo ay yellow ribbon ang meaningful sa kanila, 'di ba? Nung kanilang panahon, no? Pero ngayon, ito yung meaningful
na
cultural reference.
Alam ko, KKK yung panahon mo eh. Cliff, KKK.
Parang ito yung meaningful na cultural reference sa kanila na mobilize sila nito. Edi okay, diba? Bilang forma. Pero I also want to say na ako I think na kailangan kailangan yung mga protesta natin at yung mga susunod na protesta ay maglagay talaga ng takot din dun sa political class.
Okay, so let's debate that. Like, so Carla, I think kind of already addressed it, but I want to get your point.
Yeah.
Again, we all, before we go to Dino and Puti, ayoko ma-disbar si Dino, but for us who are not lawyers, like, how much of the threat of chaos, let's just put it that way, is legitimately leverageable, if I can put it that way. I mean, I'm trying to be very careful about what I'm going to say. We're not encouraging it, but at the same time, napakawalang yang mga politiko natin, napakadaming corruption scandals. We don't want this to be another toothless, just performative exercise of for the gram, nagrally tayo, and then the next day back to business na naman. Ayoko naman kasi mangyari din yun eh.
Yeah, in the first place, to me, Richard, what happened in Menjola, I don't think na dapat i-give in una yung characterization na violent. Pwedeng riot, pwedeng disorder, pwedeng chaotic, but violent is a very specific expression of political participation. Violent is war on drugs, di ba? Violence, I think, is intending to hurt, to kill someone. That's violent, di ba? Pag niline up yung mga corrupt dyan at ginilutin sila, that's a violent way to respond to this crisis. But that's not what we're seeing. What we're seeing is an expression of anger, pwedeng disorder, pwedeng riotous. And if I will be just, quite academic about this, sometimes this exercise of political chaos, yung itong political disorder can be redemptive para sa
The divine violence, Walter Benjamin.
Oo, 'di ba? Parang the constituent power yan yung kapangyarihan ng taong bayan yung exercise ng force nila. Parang if you go back, 'di ba, yung state nag-exercise sila ng force and that force is legitimized no because may consent yung taong bayan. If there's temporary withdrawal of that consent giving to the state and the people themselves want to exercise that, then so be it. Kasi I think na kung walang takot na mai-ingrain dun sa political class. And this is in Southeast Asia, natutunan na natin marami sa mga concessions natin sa mga states here and the political elites that we're dealing with, which has survived centuries, no? Lagi natin isipin, itong mga political families that are ruling us is mahigit ibang world wars, iba't ibang kahit anti-colonial war na survive nila. So we need to be able to parang generate a significant amount of threat, no, to change behavior, to change motivation on the part of this political class. Short of, syempre, no, disclaimer, no, di naman to panawagan para mamundok yung mga tao, di ba? Pero marami, civil disobedience, halimbawa, kung ayaw talaga natin ng medyo mas may nagda-damage, di ba,
Is
yung mga
uncivil
pagsusunog and
obedience
all.
valid? Is
Well,
uncivil.
Ako, I wouldn't discount it. I wouldn't be the first person to condemn uncivil disobedience, no? General strike, no? I mean, marami pang pwedeng, I think, to sharpen the protest that we're doing. Remember, ang naranasan ng mga kababayan natin ay for 6 years, pumupunta kung saan sila nakatira. Kung saan sila nakatira na dapat tahimik ang buhay nila, gabi-gabi nakakatulog sila ng matahimik. Pero kada gabi, maaari silang katokin ng mga pulis, barilin, and that's it. That's it. That's the experience that our people had. And for some communities, nagpapatuloy po yan. Kaya kung sila sa isang araw ay lumabas at nagpakita ng galit nila sa ibang forma, I will not be the first one to say that's not valid and to condemn that. No, I think na kagaya ng sinabi ko, I will go back to that. I think that for us to make significant changes in the behavior, motivations, and considerations of the political elites of the country, that threat must be present.
Is the Kiko
I need to go,
Barzaga?
Richard. Sorry, I have 9:30. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Sige, ikaw Dino, bago ka umalis, since avocado ka, I mean, since Sara got away with the assassination threat as a lawyer, baka hindi ka man ma-disbar. What is your idea about violence as a way to disrupt an unjust system?
Well, philosophically, no, if all institutions do not work and the government is becoming oppressive to the people, ang sabi nga nila, yung powers ng government hindi nandyan to oppress the people. Nandyan yan because it is a power renegated by the people and given to them to protect the people, di ba? So kung yung government hindi na nangyayari yon, always, at least on the philosophical level, the government should be held into account. Now, am I advocating violence? No, not necessarily. What I'm advocating is for the government to make sure that it is working towards the interest of the people and that our institutions should be working. Otherwise, you leave the people without any other resort. Kaya kami namumundok eh. Kung oppressive ang gobyerno, kung hindi na kayo nanunungkulan ng maayos, saan pupunta ang taong bayan, di ba? That's always the case, at least in the philosophical level. So, if we don't want that, let's make sure that our institutions will be working.
Pwede ka talaga maging spokesman. Thank you so much, Dino. Sige, just last one, singit ko lang, hindi ko na-mention. Sige, okay, Dino, you can go if you need to. Carlo and Carlo, you're the youth activist guy. Is Kiko Barzaga the model of youth leadership nowadays? yung gumaganon siya, nagbaboxing and all, yung mga kung ako shadow boxing, siya airbender.
Meow, meow.
Meow, meow, meow. I think
is meow, meow the way forward?
Well, in terms of communicating, I suppose, diba? I mean, kung usapin siya is he getting airwaves? Is he getting screen time? It's really effective. Nakaka-capture yung audience. Other people would say na parang Wait, it wasn't Kiko Bersaga one of the first people who said na Martin Romualdez should be replaced? So may mga ganung pag-take. So is it representative of the youth? Personally, I don't think so. Because I think hindi lang yung sayo-sayo at nyam-nyam gusto mangyari ng mga kabataan. I think it's still about institutional change. And yun, I'm not discounting na may following or may mga ganung klaseng part ng youth. Pero if you ask me, no. I think where we're looking for is like more yun nga, yung mga, kasi he's also part of the ruling class. So it doesn't really represent. In fact, he could actually use his position better than the general the average youth right now. So baka dapat mas yun yung champion niya. How should a young representative of the Philippine Congress engage in an arena where he was elected into office for? 'Di ba? So mas ganun dapat yung gusto niyang ipagmalaki rather than being a meme.
Yeah, I think Richard, what works for Kiko as a form of his politics is that he's very unserious, 'di ba? And ito isa tong if you read about how Gen Zs, 'di ba, are also changing forms of political expression. A big part of how they do it is to center unseriousness in politics, no? So yung nakikita natin kay Kiko. I think, and that's not only what Kiko Barzaga is doing, but also others. I mean, in the September 21 protest, I've seen that there are so many expressions of this unseriousness then among youth protesters, diba? Yung para, Jinggoy, Jinggoy, Botomesa. At,
We really had to bring that back, yeah.
Of course, no? Tsaka kung paano magsagutan yung iba't ibang mga camps and how they diss other the corrupt, no? So may playfulness, may unseriousness, and I think we have a lot to learn about this, no? Tayo, no? And then the entire reformist movement. Then I hope that we also learn how to take advantage of this unseriousness, because for many young people nowadays, it's a valid form of political participation. And nakita natin, kagaya ng sabi ni Carlo, na naka-capture ni Congressman Kiko Barzaga yung imagination ng some segments of the population, no, towards a good direction. Maybe not. Maybe hindi yun yung direction na maganda din at mainam, no, but as a form, as a way of doing it, yung paggamit ng humor, paggamit ng memes, paggamit ng unseriousness in life, maybe that's something that we can all adopt as well.
On that note, I just last huling habol ko lang. Ricardo ka pala, Carlo. Kaya nga hindi ko mahanap yung Richard ka rin pala.
Yes.
So, pustahan lang tayo to close this. Sinong unang uwi? Zaldi or Harry?
Oh, okay. I think Zaldi. Wala akong basis, gut feel lang.
So, hindi naman to sinong bottom, sinong top, hindi ganun ang tanong, Cliff. But who will count? So sorry, Lord. I mean, who's at the top of the game? Who's like,
Ako, I think, sunduin mo na sila. Nandiyan ka na din.
Pinakamalapit dyan
Actually, pwede kang mag-reunion dito, di ba? Just gonna remove this part. I'm so sorry. It came up wrong. Of course, when I say top, who's in the game, who's winning, who's losing, that's what we mean, di ba? On that note.
Ang vote ko ako baka si Harry, kasi baka miss na miss niya na yung Humba. You can't find that easily in Europe, right? That's something you really have to come back. You really have to come home for that Humba.
Yung iba kasi sabi, they used they used regression analysis based on resources. Mukhang may staying power talaga si Zaldi So, I'm not sure about Humba. But on that note, maraming salamat. Ricardo ka pala, Carlo Flores,
yes.
also Clive Arguelles for that. Ang daming bottom lines, ang dami natin mga take-homes dito. So I really appreciate
Sabi ko kay Clive this is a very bottom-heavy discussion.
Okay. Mag-hi tayo kay Tito Boy, diba? Tito Boy, hi
medyo fast talk tayo Fast talk tayo on that.
Miss na natin ang bottom line
On that very edgy note, let's just close this before we say more compromising things or could be misunderstood as compromising things. Salamat guys and talk to you soon. God bless.